When there's blood in the streets, you buy. That was a contrarian investing principle I learned from this guy named Sir John Templeton years ago, and I actually adopted this when it comes to marketing. I was like, hey, I love that concept. Let's move this, and how do I actually apply this in the marketing realm? And by doing so, it has changed the trajectory of our business. Your job as a marketer, your entire job as a marketer, is to create maximum impact for the least amount of resource, meaning time and money. And usually impact is in the form of dollars produced or profit produced. But when you try to do everything, you bog yourself down. And so what I want to do is, in this episode, I want to break down 5 things that we're doing to have massive growth in 2023. And these are things that you should consider for yourself, that you should audit and self-reflect and say, hey, what am I doing well and what am I not doing well? And or maybe what am I not doing at all? And so the things I'm gonna kind of share here are based off of trends we see, what we've been doing recently and seeing great success in with our clients, and then also what we see kind of going into the future and where the greatest impact really lies. And so I'm gonna break down 5 things we're doing. Take them, steal them, use them how you want, or just completely don't do anything. But I do recommend you do something. So let's dive right into this. So the first thing that we're doing in 2023 is we're staying what I call 80-20 leveraged. Because unless you have unlimited resources, I don't, Josh Coffey doesn't, unless you have unlimited resources, you can't afford to do everything. And unless you have an army of marketers that are able to implement things and you just have cash to burn for the sake of branding, then you have to be very intentional with where you put your time and where you put your dollars. And so what we're doing is we're focusing 80% of our marketing resources on something I call fast leverage activities and 20% on slow leverage activities. And so marketing, I view marketing as the only goal of marketing is to create as much leverage as we possibly can, right? We want to create as much impact for the least amount of resource. And the gap in between is what we call leverage, right? We want to have the largest amount of leverage that we can. And so all marketing at some point has a degree of leverage. Now, the time to create massive leverage is a variable that is based on the activity that you're doing. So I view a lot of activities as fast leverage or slow leverage, because even though things are slower leverage, like let's look at SEO, for example. SEO is a slower leverage activity. It creates leverage in your business. It creates this organic flow in your business, and it does create leverage. But at the beginning, it's not a whole lot of leverage. It takes time. Conversely, if you look at advertising creates fast leverage. You can create leverage very, very fast, right? I put dollars in and I get dollars out. And so I am focusing, and our team is focusing 80% on fast leverage, 20% on slow leverage. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like for us and what we're recommending for many of our clients. So fast leverage activities, this is where we're putting the bulk lion's share of our time and resources, are things like Facebook ads, Google ads, whether you're doing TikTok ads, whatever that looks like, but really honing in on one really, really well. And so ads are the very first thing that we consider fast leverage. The second one would be email. And the third one we would look at is SMS. So those are the things we believe are the fastest leverage. And the reason why is because it takes me about the same amount of time to manage $1,000 a day in ad spend as it does $100 a day. I mean, it's not identical time. It might be a little bit more, but it's not 10 times more. So with advertising, you can create great amounts of leverage. Email and SMS work the very same. In fact, with email, we'll produce $1 to $4 per email per person on our list. So if I have 1,000 people on my list, I could produce $1,000 to $4,000 a month from that list. If I have 100,000 people on my list, I could do $100,000 to $400,000 a month from email. But here's the thing, just like SMS and email, to send to 100 people or 100,000 people takes the same amount of time. And so because of that, it has enormous leverage. And so those are the fast leverage activities that we have just been seeing work time and time again. Some of them are just time tested, right? They have worked over and over for many, many years. Ads, email, SMS, those activities are very high leverage. They produce tons of profit, tons of revenue, and you can do it on demand. Actually, I like to say that email and SMS are the only legal way to print money in business. And so if we're putting 80% of our energy and time somewhere, it's going to be in those fast leverage. But that doesn't discount the importance of slower leverage activities that over time become very, very leveraged, become very, very profitable and huge revenue drivers for our business. And so those slow leverage activities for us and what we're recommending to all of our clients based on all of our studies and all of our research, and then also what we're really seeing working and a little bit of what we're kind of predicting going into the future are three things. Number one, Reels, TikToks, Shorts, we kind of place those all in a similar bucket. They're all vertical. They're all 9:16, similar format. The platforms, have their own nuanced differences between them, but they're pretty much the same style of content. And so the reason we love these is because they have a huge algorithmic love component to them, right? There's a lot of prioritization over that form of content. So we're leaning heavy into those. The second one is podcasting, just like you're listening or just like you're watching right now. Podcasting, the amount of stats on podcasting and people that place purchases based on what they hear on podcasts and just the relationship that you establish with your listeners. Like right now, you're listening or you're watching this podcast. And if you've been doing this for some time, just like me listening to podcasts, you might feel some degree of a connection to Josh Coffey, just like I feel a degree of connection to some of the podcasts that I listen to because I feel like I know them, hearing them and listening to the audio. So podcasting is a slow leverage activity, but it creates massive leverage over time. It has that hockey stick effect. And the third thing we're seeing, and this was working wonderful for us, but we have clients in the D2C space, in the direct-to-consumer space that are doing the same thing. And something worth considering is a Facebook group. Facebook groups, just like podcasts, allow you to disperse content. It allows you to be viewed as the authority in the group if you're facilitating conversations. And so we have clients that are doing this with products that it really makes sense for. It doesn't make sense for all products, but if you can create a community around your product, you're going to be able to have at your fingertips an arsenal of fans and people that will buy from you again when you release new product, as well as spread the word about things that are happening. A brand that I see doing this very, very well is One Wheel. One Wheel, if you've never seen One Wheel before, they have one wheel, and it's a very unique product. It's like a scooter, but it has one wheel, so there's like this balance component to it, and it's kind of like snowboarding, but it's on land, and so, but it's on like gravel, or it's on rocks, or it's on pavement, whatever that is. And so they have this community that is unbelievable. They're like, if you're a one-wheeler, you're a one-wheeler, and everybody knows it because you talk about One Wheel. And there's so many groups out there that they've been able to facilitate launches of new products, to create tons of buzz, to get people pre-ordering, and to also distribute content that everybody starts sharing. And so the first thing that we're doing in 2023 is we're staying 80-20 leverage. 80% of our eggs are going into the fast leverage bucket, and 20% are going into that slow leverage bucket. Now, the second thing that we're doing, speaking of fast leverage, is we're attacking ads hard in Q1. If you've advertised for more than a year now, you probably know that in Q4, CPMs are 30 to 50% higher, sometimes more, than they are starting January 1st. And it's simple supply and demand, right? If everybody is looking to sell their products during Christmas time, rightfully so, buyer intent is high. There is more money spent in Q4 every year, year over year over year. And in the last 2-3 years, the growth has actually doubled in e-commerce sales online. And so people are buying online. And so as demand goes up, as people are spending more dollars on Facebook, supply is pretty consistent. And because of that, CPMs, meaning cost per milli or cost per 1,000 impressions, starts to rise. And so most people put all their dollars and they do most of their spending in Q4 to have the strongest Q4. And then in January, it's the historically lowest and slowest season for e-commerce. And so here's what happens. Everybody pulls their budgets back. Everybody pulls budgets. And so there's a saying that I love. And that saying is by a guy named Sir John Templeton. And I read this in a book once, and it always stuck with me. And he said, when there's blood in the streets, you buy. And what it really is it's a contrarian investing mindset. It's a principle that, contrary to what everybody else is doing, I'm going to do something different. So when everyone else is retracting because they're saying Q1 is the slow quarter, we put all our dollars into Q4, and everyone is retracting, costs go down for advertising. But when they're retracting, I'm expanding. That's the mindset that I have adopted in our business. And in doing so, it has changed the trajectory of our business. And so when people retract, you expand. And so this is also really, really incredible if you are sitting in a heavy cash position after Q4. So it's so funny to me that in Q1, everyone's pulling budgets from advertising. And all I'm thinking in my mind is, you just had the largest quarter of your year, Q4, and you are in the heaviest cash position you will be to start the year. Why would you not invest when it is pennies on the dollar and it is cheaper than it was just literally a week ago? And so this is something that I absolutely love. And actually what's interesting is, so Sir John Templeton, just to tell you the story of this in his blood in the streets analogy is, and I have this right in front of me. So in 1939, at the outbreak of World War II, a 26-year-old, it's pretty crazy, a 26-year-old was singing like this. 26-year-old Sir John Templeton, he was actually knighted by the Queen, that's why they call him Sir. He borrowed money to buy 100 shares of stock at every stock trading below $1. He picked up shares in 104 companies, 34 of which were in some form of bankruptcy proceedings. 4 years later, Templeton cashed out, but not before more than quadrupling his money. And so his investment idea exemplified contrary investing. And so, fun fact, this little process made him a simple billionaire. And so Sir John Templeton, I forget when he died like 20 years ago or 15 years ago now, multi-billionaire before he died. And so he adopted that philosophy of, hey, when there's blood in the streets, when everyone is screaming, the sky is falling, when everyone's screaming, Q1 is slow, I gotta sit on all my cash, I gotta be in this position, the recession is coming, we're in a recession, it's getting worse, hyperinflation. And while all those things might be true, if you look back at all the key moments in history when there were moments like that, there were also billionaires made. There were massive amounts of wealth to be made for the people that were wise and they were smart with their investments and they adopted contrarian thinking. And so that's my advice. So the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attack ads hard in Q1. Now, there is a question of the week that I want to read off real quick here. Now, this question comes from John Haslam from Après Beauty. And John said, Josh, I feel like I'm moving in 100 different directions, and I would appreciate some guidance on how to maximize our growth going into the new year. So, John, this is my recommendation, and the reason I kind of wanted to use this as question of the week is because it kind of aligns with, when there's so much to do, what do you do, right? Because if you do everything, you're, right, the jack of all trades, master of none, your attention is diverted, your resources are limited, and you don't make a whole lot of progress. And so what I do, and I do this every year, by the way, I plan my year in advance. And so what I do is I list priorities based on impact and resource, starting with the highest impact for the least resource. Because our job as marketers, again, is to create leverage. Highest impact, least resource. And so your job as an entrepreneur is to find constraints in your business and open them up. And so by creating a list of priorities and things that will have high impact on your business with low resource, and you start creating this list of things that are priority, and then saying how much resources is it going to take to do these, and then doing the things that are really fast to get off your plate, but they have a high impact on your bottom line, is the best way to do this. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go create a list of everything that I know needs to happen in my business. Maybe you don't have a cart abandonment series for your emails. Go create one. That is high impact, low resource. It's going to take like an hour to do, and it's going to be the largest revenue producing email automation that you have. Maybe you need to get Facebook ads working. Maybe you need to create a list building strategy. Maybe fulfillment is a challenge. We just had this happen for a client. We had a client email me this week and say, hey, stop all ads and emails until the end of the year. We're filming this in December, by the way, because we're at capacity and our infrastructure can't handle the amount of orders, which is like a marketer's dream to get that email. But I also kind of feel I feel their pain, and I could kind of sense it in his voice, like, holy crap, like they can't fulfill on what they've told people they're going to deliver, which is another constraint. But you need to like look at all these things, list these all out, hold the, how do you hold the line on new customer acquisition efforts? How do you tighten up the back end of your email marketing? And so take all of these different things, list them in order. And then what I like to do is I like to say, hey, while I attack the highest impact, low resource things, everything else goes on maintenance mode. I'm going to take things that like social media, that maybe that doesn't have a high impact on my business, and I might put that on maintenance mode, meaning I'm gonna do the bare minimum while I move the ball in a larger direction on these other high impact, low resource things. And so for me, to give you a prime example, in 2022, I don't know how many tens of thousands of followers I have between my different networks on social media, but I actually pulled back on all the amount of posting I was doing because it didn't have the impact that ads and email and SMS had for us. So we put our attention in there. I put social media on maintenance mode. And now that I've done that, we've been able to grow so fast because my attention was focused on the highest impact things. And now going into the new year, we have a social media manager that starts with us. We have someone who is just literally editing all of our reels, TikToks, shorts, etc. And so by doing this, you will keep things moving on all fronts and get you hyper-focused on completing the most important items. All right, great question, John. So the third thing we're doing for massive growth is we are focusing heavy on Reels, TikToks, and Shorts. There's a stupid amount of algorithm love. You probably know this. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know. But these content formats, to my surprise, are still receiving so much love from the algorithm. I just posted a dumb video with me and R2D2. I don't know if we have R2D2 in the YouTube. We have it on our set now, but I have an R2D2. And I had R2D2 on my passenger seat of my car. And I made this dumb video. And I was just like, R2D2, this is how many times do I have to tell you? We don't leave the drive until your seatbelt is on. And he's like struggling with me. And it was just like a 7-second stupid reel idea that I had. And it was just entertainment value. Nothing more than that. Posted it, hundreds of likes, tens of thousands of views on it. I had like 100 DM messages of it. And I've had this happen randomly for just crazy reels that I've just done throughout the year just for fun. And so there is so much algorithm love to that. And so we're prioritizing that going into the new year, leveraging these shorter forms of content that are getting so much love, and that the platform machine learning is picking up without even needing things like hashtags. And it's that used to be the way we got reach on social before. You needed hashtags, right? Now we don't necessarily need that. We need good content that people love, that people share, and that people watch. And by leveraging that, it's getting shared across platforms, the platform's machine learning is picking up and it's finding other people and it's putting it in front of those people. And the cool thing about that is not only do you get organic growth, do you get followers and things like that, but it feeds your retargeting audiences inside your paid ad pixels. Now, obviously, the content you create should probably be relevant. Like me making videos with R2D2 or taking ice baths or some of the funny things I've done that have gotten a lot of traction probably aren't going to be the best people in my retargeting pixel. But by creating most of your content, not for entertainment value, but for relevant value of what you sell and relevant to what your products are in your niche, in your industry, then it will feed good people to your retargeting pixel. So that's the third thing that we're doing and that we're recommending to all of our clients. The fourth thing we're doing is we are prioritizing lead generation. Now, if you haven't listened to me talk about this, well, go back to some episodes because I love email. It's what I believe the only legal way to print money as a business. I mean, it's literally printing money on demand. If I want to make sales, I send an email and I make sales. I mean, it's that easy. Now, to get in flow of it, to figure out your messaging and things like that and build your cadence and do all that, yes, that takes time, but overall email is very, very highly leveraged. We generally generate, that's a lot of general generates. And so what we do is we generally see $1 to $4 per month per person on our list. And so that's why email is so important. And so last year, I was recommending all of our clients to lean heavy into lead generation, meaning not only doing the email stuff, but also making sure grow your list. As an e-commerce business, you need to be growing your list. You really, really need to. And so I recommended them move budget. And I generally recommended 5 to 10% of ad spend on Facebook go into lead generation. Most of our clients stayed in that range. I'd probably say 5%. Most of them did 5% because 10% of their budget into lead gen, it's a longer term strategy because people don't buy as quickly as maybe purchase campaigns, but most people probably were on the 5% than the 10%. So they were kind of light on it. But to tell you the truth, we had a client that spent only even 5% of their budget. They took 5% of their budget, that was it. And we put it into lead generation. And when we ran the ads, they started with 27,000 people on their list, and we added 20,000 to their list. So we went from 20,000 to like 47,000, or 27,000 to 47. We added 20,000 people, and their email went from producing $25,000 to $30,000 a month to almost just shy of $100,000 a month from their email. And this year, we're moving to 10 to 12% of our budgets into lead gen. So we're just kind of bumping that percentage recommendation. So if you're not doing lead gen right now, go back through some previous podcast episodes, listen to some things on how we add 1,000 subscribers a month and more leveraging lead gen for really, really cheap. I mean, you could run $10 a day to lead gen. We run a lot more than that for some of our clients, but 10 to 12% is a new budget recommendation that we have for lead gen. It's going to have a longer term strategy, but we're seeing email it's becoming more and more valuable as advertising continues to rise and as challenges arise with things like iOS. And so that's the recommendation that we have, is increasing your ad spend allocation from maybe 5 to 10% to 10 to 12%. And the fifth and final thing we're doing for massive growth is we are looking to increase lifetime value through customer loyalty. So I kind of look at it brands as like there's two different paths that most take. One is very transactional, where you acquire a customer, they buy once and they never buy again. The other one is the one that you get that customer and you nurture them and you reward them and you build this level of relationship and you humanize your brand with them and you build loyalty to where they buy again and again, and they even are buying your products for other people and they're referring you to other people. I think it's easy to want path number two, and we all say it, right? We all know customer loyalty is important. Getting repeat purchases is important. Getting them to refer and buy for other people is important, but how often have you actually focused on doing that? I think it's easier to say, it's a lot harder to do. And so really in business, there are three ways to get more. You can get more customers, you can get those customers to spend more, or you can get them to buy more often. That's three simple ways to grow your business. That's really it from a very simplistic standpoint. Either get more customers, have them spend more, or have them just buy more frequently. And everything up to now that I've talked about in the four things that we're doing is all on the new customer acquisition side. It's all about getting more customers. And so we will get them to buy more though by doing ongoing email marketing. Yes, but this approach to customer loyalty is a little different. It's a little bit more intentional. And so what we're recommending and what we're going to be focusing on and doing is we are going to be doing, leaning heavily into loyalty programs and into figuring out how we can custom tailor and personalize the experience of our list and of our customer database based on different criteria. So if I ask you the question, should you give the same treatment to a brand new customer that has spent $100 with you as someone who has spent $1,000 with you, or in some of our client cases, $10,000 with you? We have clients that have had customers come and spend $100, $150 at a time, and they've spent $10,000 with them over the years. So should you give the same treatment to both of those? Well, in the most loving way, I would say most of us would say no. I mean, we all love to say the customer we love them all the same. They're our customers. They're great. Everyone, just like our kids, we love them all the same. Hey, we know that there are favorites. If I look at our business, the people who spend $27 on a 3-day boot camp with me will not get the attention and the experience as the people that have come into our coaching programs or the clients that have our team on retainer helping them with those things. And rightfully so. So to build customer loyalty, what we're going to be doing is we want to work to personalize our sales experience with them to get even better results. And there's a great book that I recommend you read. If you've never read this book, it's called Hug Your Customers. Go find it on Amazon, and it dives really deep into this process. And the guy with the company, I forget the name of the company, but it was a clothing store. It was a men's clothing store. And what they did was they took all of their customers and they segmented them by people that spent under $100 with them. I think it was like 100 to 250, 250 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, like 5,000 plus. They just segmented their customers. And they began sending Christmas gifts to the people over 5,000. They began doing cards to people. They were between 1 and 5,000. They began calling people between 500 and 1,000. So they created all these different activities that they would do to build rapport, to build these relationships, and to hug their customers. And as they did that, their revenues skyrocketed, the repeat business came back, and that is the best business because you don't have to pay Facebook or Google or TikTok ads to get those customers. If they're buying again, it is so much easier to get them to buy again, and you don't have any cost in them buying again. And so a great way of how we're going to do this is we're going to be integrating loyalty programs, and we're going to be including graphics in all of our emails to push customers and encourage them to join our loyalty program if they have not already. And so how this is going to work, there are tons of loyalty programs out there. If you're on Shopify, go look for loyalty programs. Pretty simple to find something. And so we're segmenting our customers into 3 tiers. So we're kind of looking at bronze, silver, gold, essentially, like small, medium, large. And what we're doing is the goal is to get them to gold. We want everybody to be in that highest tier. And so we're building marketing strategy and we're building email cadences and touch points for people that are bronze and silver to get them to gold. And then the people that are in gold, they are getting special treatment. There are certain ways that we're going about doing that. I'm not going to dive into that here, but the gist is we're creating loyalty programs, we're integrating them, we're having loyalty program specific email offers so that they feel exclusive, and we enhance their loyalty even more. You know, if you know that you're gold, and because you're gold, you get access to offers and deals and things that nobody else does, you feel this level of loyalty and this exclusivity as a result of doing this. If you're introduced to new products before they even hit the market or before they even go out to your entire database, and they're going to feel exclusive. And so these are ways that we're going to increase LTV through customer loyalty. And so I really see this as being an important play moving into the future. Like, yes, we all know we want our customers to be loyal. We want them to come back. We want them to refer. We want them to buy our products for other people. Yes, we all want that. But the question is, how intentional are you at making that happen, at really thinking through the process and rolling out a program and really leaning into that tailored experience for people? So to recap here, there are 5 things we're doing for Massive Growth this year. The first thing is we're saying 80-20 leverage, 80% in fast leverage activities, 20% in slow leverage activities. The second thing we're doing is we are attacking ads hard in the first quarter. When there's blood in the streets, you buy. As people retract, we're looking to expand, contrarian thinking. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to focus heavy on Reels, TikToks, and Shorts because these are the things that are getting tons of algorithm love on the social platforms. The fourth thing we're doing is we are prioritizing lead generation, and we're going to be putting 10 to 12% of our ad spend into that bucket. So we're building for the long term. And the fifth thing we're doing is we're looking to increase LTV through customer loyalty programs. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you listening to this podcast. This is the last podcast of the year, and next week I'm excited because you're gonna get to meet Ethan Bentz, who is a brilliant mind on conversion revenue optimization. And next year we have so many great things in store. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, go to alleypodcast.com/group. You'll definitely want to join it. Several thousand of us there right now, growth-minded e-commerce business owners. Every Thursday we go live. We're talking on content. We're reviewing ad campaigns. We're reviewing websites. We're helping you grow in your business. But you, my friend, have been listening to the Ecommerce Alley podcast produced by Dylan Counts. On behalf of my entire team and myself, I want to say thank you for being our listener, and I'll see you in the next episode.